Now we're going to get into the spoiler reviews. So if you have not watched the movie, you want to watch the movie, don't watch this if you don't want to be spoiled. Get out. But then you can come back in about like 30 minutes and then we'll be talking other stuff. But yeah, let's get into Megalino in chat's like, okay, bye. Okay, let's get into it. This movie, we talked about how it's about average for majority of us. Now the main issue I feel like all of us had with the movie was the story. And I brought up the marketing compared to what the actual movie's about. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that marketing, like how I felt, was it really lined up properly?
Honestly, I think it was.
So, yeah.
Really?
I think so.
When you look at the posters, the biggest people is Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And then you have everyone else at the bottom. They mention Cole Young, like, you know, in the little bit, like setting up his story. But I thought we would have got Scorpion and Sub-Zero a lot more in this story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you're talking, now I see what you mean about the marketing kind of being almost misleading in that sense. Yeah, I think I get where you're coming from, Camille. Making a good point.
Am I the only one who really felt like they missed a big opportunity? And for me personally, in the marketing,
they set up with Sub-Zero, probably going to become Noob Saibot. You know, they'll probably bring back Goro. I think as well they're going to bring back Kano, and he'll have the cybernetic eye going into the second movie, because that was his Arcana. He got stabbed in the eye with a gnome, and now, like, you know, he wants that still. He wants that power, right? So I think they'll end up bringing those characters back if they make a sequel, and we'll see a little more from that, which is fine. And I'm excited if they were to make more of this. Like, I think the characters, the actors, everyone involved in this project, even though I have my issues with it, I want to see more. But then I also ask the question, so you become a chosen one, or you get the dragon marking by killing someone.
Right.
So this big budget action movie star, Johnny Cage, did he kill someone? Like, is he a murderer and also, you know, like an action movie star? Like, how are they going to explain that in the next movie? Because I agree that it should have just been like, here's a list of people that are some of the best that Earth has to offer.
Right.
We need to go out and get them. You know, Jax and Sonya are special forces. They you know, Jaxie says when he's fighting Sub-Zero, he's on 6 tours. You know, they are like military trained. Maybe even if you wanted to explain, okay, Cole Young, he's an MMA fighter, but he could have been like a champion.
Yeah,
he could have been one of the best. You know, and I feel like, again, here's the thing I wanted to ask you guys in the spoiler review. Mm-hmm. What's Cole Young's powers?
His armor.
It started out that he had armor that was kind of like Black Panther.
Yeah,
where,
it absorbs
it was
the kinetic energy, I guess.
Yeah, which was super telegraphed. Like, I had a feeling that was going to be his power, because they were setting it up like, oh, he's this fighter. He always gets knocked down, but he always gets back up and everything. And that ended up happening. But then his power just resulted in him getting a police baton and a blade.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
tonfas, and then
his armor never absorbed
anything
after that.
Exactly.
So I was like, what is happening? And I was super disappointed, because part of me was like, oh, are they going to set up that he inherits the Scorpion power at the end? That would have been awesome. And I think that would have paid off a lot. But it didn't happen.
It's exactly what I said. I was talking because I was streaming last night and talking about this with my chat. And the funniest thing is when I asked this to my chat, everyone said his real superpower was plot armor, which I think is fantastic. But beyond that as well, like, I was saying the same thing as you, Steve. I think it would have been fine if he was just Scorpion. Just another Scorpion.
Yeah,
give him the same powers, because he's a descendant.
Yeah.
So if he's going to be a descendant of Scorpion, make him Scorpion. You know, give him some ability to control fire. Make it different from Scorpion. Maybe instead of this weird brass suit or whatever the hell he had, he was just like lit on fire or something. You know, and could control it in some way. I think that could have been really cool.
And I feel
maybe
like,
granted, for budget reasons, they couldn't do something like that. But you know?
I feel like they kind of still left it open that there is a descendant out there that still could take over Scorpion's powers. Just how Raiden explained where Cole Young is a descendant and how he's one of the few right? Like they didn't say he's the last. Usually you will see a story say you are the only descendant. There's something special about that person as to why they should have that marking. And you still don't get that from Cole Young, especially when Raiden gives him the kunai,
the blade,
right? It's like, what was the why? What was the point of that? If there is no like actual link that yes, we are a descendant, I now have some of your power. This is why my arcana is, you know, a fire or like something from Scorpion, something.
Also, so does his daughter have the marking? Is she not a continuation of his lineage?
Well, they didn't say that, right? Which is
why would Cole have the marking but not his daughter? You know, like that wouldn't make sense.
Well, I think because it's when you unlock. Well, see, yeah, that's weird too. Because even when they go back to the village scene, right, and you see Scorpion with the marking, does other people in his village then have that marking?
Character strengths, you know, he could have. It's so out of place and random when they're in the void that he just takes point. Like, why is Cole Young all of a sudden the leader? You know,
and why
is he just saying like, oh, let's just go fight him?
What the hell's the void? What is that void?
I know.
Yeah.
That was also random.
Why is the explanation? Let's do it again. Just don't lose this time.
Exactly. I think what could have been really cool is if he's an MMA fighter. What if he was like giving everyone the prep talk, like, hey, this is how so-and-so fights. This is what you should do to counter it. You know, here's the martial arts that this guy uses or this girl uses. Here's how you can be able to counter it. Here's what you should do better. You know, like act as like the guy in the corner in a UFC fight. It feels like they set up this character as an MMA fighter and they didn't even write into play to that character's strengths. It was just something that they did to feel modern, to feel familiar for general audiences. And then they just wanted to shoehorn him into the Mortal Kombat universe, which is why I said in the non-spoiler review that he just doesn't earn his right on the roster. If this character showed up in the games, I would still feel the same way. He doesn't earn his right in the roster of the games either. You know, there isn't enough there for me to be like, okay, I'm cool with Cole Young being involved or being a character in the Mortal Kombat universe. You know, there's nothing there for that character. He has no groundwork built for him. Someone like Sub-Zero, there's more character development, even if there's a lack of it for him too, than there is for Cole Young, who's supposed to be the central protagonist of the film.
And I thought it's a huge sin, in my opinion, that when you introduce a character and a brand new character to like an IP as established as Mortal Kombat, and for him to be immediately outshined when Kano comes on screen. Like, I can't remember. I think it was Malik. You're the one who initially brought up, like, you know, Cole Young is the protagonist of this movie. I was like, for a hot, like, 45 minutes, I was like, no, Kano is the main character. He's the one that's getting all the development. He's the one that's, you know, seeking out his powers in a legitimately interesting way. He's getting the backstory of what was it, Black Dragon?
Yeah, but Black Dragon.
Yeah, the Black Dragon.
He was getting all this great backstory and was actually, like you said, Caboose, like he stole the show. And yeah, that's just unacceptable in my opinion, to introduce a character like that and just have him fall to the wayside.
Is it though? I think that kind of falls for me. I found it funny because that's the same thing that happened to Liu Kang in the video games. Liu Kang was the main character, and then Sub-Zero and Scorpion stole the limelight away from him. So I kind of find that funny. I just didn't want so much focus on Cole Young. It's okay for him to be a main character if they wanted to introduce him. But it was hard to get to know him more because it was giving me the reboot Power Ranger vibes. There was lots of cheesiness into his character, his whole story with his family, his wife and kids. Just their dialogue was just poorly written. Like it was just all tropes that we've seen from like teeny bot movies, right? And it's it made me dislike him as a character just because I felt like he was just trying, and this is not to the actor. I think it was just how they wrote the character and how he was directed. But they try to make him the pretty boy that gets rough and like is also the bad boy and like could hold his own and is trying to find himself. And it just doesn't work because I feel like when you get to that point and you're learning about him, you never get that payoff, as Caboose has mentioned, as we all kind of mentioned, that character never pays off, as well as then they're trying to introduce all the other characters and give them backstories.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel you need to do. Like, why is it Sonya, like, she's figuring out what Mortal Kombat is, but then she has all this knowledge on this board, but she still doesn't know what it is? Like, you're telling me she doesn't know what it is? Or, you know, even with, like, I think how they handled actually Liu Kang and Kung Lao, you don't get too much origin story building with them.
Perfect amount.
And I think my part, like the whole training montage, although that was very cliche, and honestly, those fights were dragged on while their training fights were dragged on. I think that whole scene was, if it was compressed a little bit more, that's probably like a really good pace to hold up throughout the movie. For every little aspect or story point they needed to hit.
Yeah. I think that, like, I personally, if we would have had Liu Kang and Kung Lao been like the main two, like that was the main plot line of them growing up and like that whole like relationship that they had, and then, you know, being rescued by Raiden and finding their Arcana, and then like, you know, you meet Sonya and Jackson and Kano, that would have been amazing. But did anyone else just roll your eyes as soon as his daughter said, use your uppercut on Goro?
Oh, I know. That was
so bad.
Oh, that was so random too. It was like, what? That was so frustrating.
It was really weird that they nerfed Goro for the sake of
Yeah,
I will say I don't mind that. I get as well, because it's visual effects and he's a fully CGI character that they can only use Goro so much. Like, there's only so much of him, and you're either gonna have to kill him off or find a way to get rid of him. Yeah. And I don't think it wouldn't have made sense.
Or don't have him.
Like, either run
or don't have him. Know? I don't think they needed to have Goro. Like, it makes no sense to have Goro with who Goro is as a character. Like, he wouldn't be there.
I don't know.
He wouldn't be there at that point. To see,
for me, even though some people would disagree, and I know like a lot of people love Goro, I don't know, like the 1995 films treated him as a bit of a jobber as well. Like he got punched in the nuts and kicked off a mountain. You know, he essentially got humiliated in the 95 film. And so like I understand that for fans of the lore and everything, that Goro he has a backstory, and the Shokan are really interesting, but I don't mind Goro essentially being this character that is the test, like the ultimate proof of your ability to fight. And so I didn't mind that like Cole Young pretty much had to kill him to be able to be for the audience.
But he's not the ultimate test, right? The ultimate test with Sub-Zero, right? I feel like if you're gonna have Goro in there, right? Like Goro shouldn't be the training test. He would have been present as a character at the tournament. He would not have been out there, you know, doing the doings with everyone else. So I feel like hanging out in garages and stuff. He's Goro. He's not supposed to do that. So I feel like if you just take him out of the movie, they probably could have saved on his budget and added more to going into different realms.
That would have been a great moment for Jax to get his Arcana, though, going up against Goro. Like, to have those weak, wimpy arms, and then something happens, you know, and he transforms into Jax Prime.
Even then, I don't mind that he fights like Reiko, and I also don't mind, like, when I was talking to my chat last night, people were like, oh, I wanted Natara to do more, and it's like,
listen, how do you think they handled that? Yeah.
Everyone has their favorite character from Mortal Kombat, and I know everyone loves their 3D era characters. Like Reiko and Natara are cool. They have something cool about them from the OG games. But like, there's got to be some jobbers that just their purpose for being in the movie is to get killed. And for me, if Natara's purpose was to see Kung Lao do that insane buzzsaw hat fatality,
that was such a good fatality.
That's fine by me. Bye Natara. I don't care who was getting killed by that. If they had to go, they had to go. Even Cabal. I think Cabal looked amazing, by the way. I love the effects. I love the costume. I love how practical it looked. But if Cabal's got to die for Liu Kang to do the dragon fatality, then Cabal's got to die, you know? Like that's okay with me. Some people, they got to go.
But that's what you said. There was a payoff there, right? So for that Goro fight, he got his arm sliced off. Great. There was no, they should have set up a fatality for Cole Young. And they didn't.
Yeah.
Right? If they're trying to put him into this roster of amazing fighters, he needs his own fatality. There was not a single action sequence for Cole Young that's memorable for me that I'm like, oh, that was sick. That was cool. Speaking of cool sequences, Kung Lao, when he does his teleportation, I was not expecting that at all. And they did it super well. What was your favorite fatalities in this movie or moves?
Kano ripping the heart out was
awesome.
That just took the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah. Sonia Blade, that was another good one. That was like ripped straight out of the video games.
Yeah.
When she uses the rings or Oh, okay, yeah.
That, and like she shoots the hole, good.
Yeah, Sonia's was good. I mean, Kung Lao is the best easily.
Absolutely.
But even Jax, like the head smash, I thought that was awesome.
That was cool.
You know, that was a good little head explosion there. And even his line after, like, these mother effers work. I love that. You know, like that stuff worked for me, to be honest. So that, like, honestly, most of the fatalities I was really, really cool with. I thought they were great.
Now,
I don't think I had any issue with any of the combat. I think it all hit really hard.
And I think maybe that was their focus with the movie in terms of doing like that fan service within their move sets. But I feel like overall, and what we're saying is that the story arc is really like, what were you thinking? Now that we watched Mortal Kombat, the movie, why don't we give this a rating out of 5?
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
There's one part we haven't even talked about, which is the get over here moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
so good.
Even just the last 15 minutes of the movie, the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes, at least for me, if everything else in the middle wasn't that great, I'm jumping out of my seat in excitement. And I've watched that scene in particular at least, give or take, 62 times.
I believe
it's so good. It is so good. That whole final fight, hearing Scorpion like talking in Japanese too, like
they did that so well, where you had Chinese and Japanese, and like they don't understand each other. Well, Sub-Zero kind of knows a little bit of Japanese.
Which quick question: does Cole Young know Japanese? Because at the end,
no, I don't think he does.
Scorpion's like, let me handle this, and is Cole Young just like, I don't know what you're talking about?
I don't think he does, because it was at the beginning when Scorpion appears, he speaks Japanese to Cole Young, and Cole Young's like, okay, I guess we're fighting.
Right.
And then later on, but I kind of like that where it's not like he fully understands. But then that fight, that's what made it. Those two fights, the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes. Yeah. And that's my main issue with this movie. I feel like they were focused in marketing on this build up between the two. If maybe they did that with the story, or just put different marketing out there that hinted that these fights would happen, rather than showing me everything from these fights.
My only big issue with the ending, and I don't want to keep going on and on. I know we've talked in great lengths now about the Mortal Kombat movie, but my biggest issue with the ending is the inconsistency with Sub-Zero. And I know this sounds morbid, but why does he just choose not to kill Cole's family?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It seemed like he had no problem doing that in the beginning of the same movie, you know? And it's not like he used his family to really lure in Cole. He just used that bracelet. Whatever he did to lure in Cole Young could have been done the exact same way.
Yeah.
But with Cole Young's family dying. And I'm not saying like...
they didn't have to die. He didn't have to take them hostage. He could have just used it as a threat. Like, I attacked your family's house or whatever. Like, plot holes.
Yeah.
Plot holes is a huge thing.
It's just that there could have been something there too. Even if you wanted to save Cole's Arcana to the very end of the movie, he doesn't get until the very end.
Yes.
When he sees his family's died, he's so distraught. And then he just like gives it his all. He unlocks his Arcana through that or something. You know, I feel like maybe there's even more of an emotional punch to that. Yeah. And again, I know that sounds like morbid, but it's just because at the very beginning of the movie, Sub-Zero clearly has no issue in the exact same way to lure in Scorpion, to lure in Hanzo by killing his family.
And this is the thing, though. This is the whole Power Rangers reboot issue I had. There was nothing at that was really at risk for the Rangers in that movie, and there's nothing really at risk for Cole Young, right?
But I think it works better in like a Power Rangers thing because it's supposed to be like a kids thing.
Yes, it's supposed to be more campy and everything like that. But here, where you have an R rating where it's bloody and gruesome, you have to have a lot at stake for all of the characters, right? And there's nothing really in it for Cole Young. We can't talk about this forever because then we'll run out of time to talk about everything else. So let's just go around. What's your final rating for this movie? And just a quick, what do you expect for the next one? If they, obviously they're doing another one because of the teaser at the end with Johnny Cage.
Well, hopefully it performs well enough for them to be able to get the
quick thoughts of what you'd think.
I mean, I think it's solid. I know I've done nothing kind of but complain for the last half hour, but there's plenty that I like about the movie. I think the acting's okay. I think the characters that come from mainline Mortal Kombat games are pretty well represented here. Sub-Zero's great. Scorpion is great. As long as they got those two characters right, everything else could have been really bad, and I would have still walked away from the movie feeling okay. They set up some interesting things. There's some really good fights, some goosebump moments that I was really happy with. And overall, it's a foundation that I look forward to seeing more from. So I want to see a second movie. I want to see them do Noob Saibot. I want to see them bring in just more ninjas in general. Give me Smoke. Give me Ermac. Give me the Cyberlin Quay. Give me Cyrax and Sector. I want to see them. You know, maybe they could explain that being the reason why Kano gets a mechanical eye in the second one. I think that could be cool. There's a lot of stuff that I want to see from this franchise, from these characters that have been introduced in this movie. And while I originally gave the movie a 7.5 out of 10, I think I do dock it down to a 7 out of 10.
All right. Malik?
The first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes were a 10 out of 10. Everything else was like a 5 out of 10 for me. So as a whole, I'll give the movie like a 6.5. There was a lot that I didn't like, and that just made me kind of feel like that I almost would skip, and like I would fast forward. If I was watching this again, I would fast forward it to the most exciting parts in the fight sequences. But yeah.
And okay.
I was just gonna say I'm kind of right there with you, probably like a 6.57. There were, again, I think we did our fair share of complaining, but at the same time there were some really great moments in this movie. I don't want that to get lost in this conversation. Had a lot of fun with it. If and when we do get a sequel, I just want to see them work on that script, introduce new exciting characters into the fold, have really cool fights again, and that's all I want. That's all we're here for, is just awesome fight sequences. And solid movie.
Okay.
Not winning any awards.
Yeah, definitely not winning any awards. But Steve, you're right. The movie did really great things. I think the fight sequence, the fatalities, how close it is to the movesets in the games. So you have to give the movie props for that, because a lot of video games movies shy away from that. So I'm glad that it took that risk to do that fan service and to do it right on those aspects. But the plot, I think, is the huge downfall. I'm really upset I didn't even see a tournament, even announced of a tournament, something with the tournament. I mean, it's called Mortal Kombat. There's a tournament.
That's the setup for the second one, though, right?
No, but that's stupid. So. I think that's stupid. I think keep it simple. That's what they should have done with the whole story, instead of making it all convoluted. Even if they wanted to introduce a new character, you gotta take small steps in order to make that big win of the best video game movie out there. If you're trying to achieve that, so for that, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10, just because the plot holes in the character of Cole Young really does hurt me there. For the next movie, I want to see a tournament. I just want to see a tournament. I want to see all the different realms. And I want to see fights happen, like just fights back to back. I just want to see a huge cutscene. If that could happen, just pull a cutscene from the video games, just have them fight gameplay. I'm even happy with that. Just don't maybe get rid of Cole Young too. That's what I want to see. But there you go. That's our thoughts. Maybe a little brutal, but let us know what you think on our socials at Squad State. For now, we're going to take a quick little break. Then we'll be back talking more stuff. We got COD, we got xCloud. So stay tuned.